Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new here, welcome. Today we are doing another Movies, Monsters, and Makeup movie review. These two movies are really great. I'm sure a lot of you guys first saw them when you were little children. I know I did. I watched them a lot with my cousins and my dad. So I'm very excited to be talking about these two movies. So the first movie that I am going to be talking about, well, I put on my makeup, which I already did my eyebrows. I already prepped my face. So let's get started. So the first movie I'm going to be talking about is the 1992 movie Sleepwalkers. Yes, this is a Stephen King movie, which I'm so excited about because it's just a classic movie. Some people like it, some people, didn't really care for this movie. But this one I always hold a little special to my heart because of all the nostalgia that it gives me from watching it. And I watch it, at least once a year, if not more. So, the movie is about Charles Brady and his mother Mary. They are sleepwalkers. Now, what is a sleepwalker? Well, a sleepwalker is a shape-shifting energy like vampire, okay? Not the same blood-drinking vampires. These ones, they live off of energy of virgins. So, they normally maintain a human form, but they can transform into human-sized, like, werecats, which is pretty awesome. I love like the costumes for the werecats in this movie. Really unique, I think, because they're not like hairy or anything like that. They're kind of like, they remind me of Sphinx kitties, like the naked kitties. I always wanted to get one, but the husband did not like the way they looked, and so we settled on getting a werewolf kitty, so it's okay. So they can transform at will into these sleepwalkers, and their only weakness that they have is actually cats, which is really weird because they're kind of like a cat themselves. So for cats to be like their weakness is a little weird, but okay. I guess the cats can see through their human illusion and see what they really are. And the cats violently attack them. They just attract cats. So you'll see during the movie that in front of their house, there's a bunch of fucking stray cats, out to try to get these sleepwalkers. And if a cat does get in touch with the sleepwalker and bites or scratches them, it's very fatal to the sleepwalkers. Anyways, Charles and Mary, they live in Travis, which is like a small town in Indiana, which I don't think it really exists because I live in Indiana and I don't think I've ever heard of Travis. They recently moved there after they fled California because in California they ended up killing a girl to feed on her. They sucked the life force out of her, so she died. So that's when they're like, all right, time to go before they get caught, which leads them into Travis, Indiana. And Charles, the son, he attends high school and he meets a girl named Tanya Roberts, which Tanya just kind of falls for Charles. But the only reason why he's kind of being like suave and trying to, romance her in a way is to basically kill her for her life force because his mother and him are starving. They need those virgins' energy to live, which, I mean, if it's this day and age, they would be dead for sure. So he romances Tanya and they end up going on a date, which is like at a cemetery. They decide to do a picnic because Charles lied and said he does like these tombstone, like where they trace or shade the tombstones, and I don't know what it's called. Anyways, while they're doing the picnic, they're kind of getting a little handsy and making out, and then Tanya starts freaking out because Charles is starting to try to take her life energy from her mouth, which makes her freak out. Like, what the hell is going on? You were just a sweet, charming man, and he totally does a 180, completely changes character on her, and she's like, what the hell? Like, you were so charming and now you're trying to kill me. Like, what are you? Tanya fights Charles off by hitting him with her camera and scratch his face, and she also gets like a corkscrew because she hid some wine in the picnic basket and shoves it in his eyeball. So she kind of is able to get away from him. There's a police officer that actually drives by the cemetery, so she's able to stop him to get help. But unfortunately, Charles kills that police officer and starts to attack Tanya again, trying to feed on her life force. But what Charles doesn't know is that that police officer had a cat, Clovis, who violently attacks Charles. So like I said in the beginning, they're like mortal enemies, and that cat, by scratching and biting Charles, is pretty much going to kill Charles. But he doesn't die. He doesn't die right away. So you'll find out what happens. So Charles, you know, he's wounded. He's pretty bad off. And he ends up being able to make it back to his house with his mother. A creepy thing that I didn't mention is like they're like incestuous. They bone each other, which is really creepy because that's his mother. But I gotta remember that they are sleepwalkers, so they're not like humans. They're sleepwalkers, so I guess that's just what they do. That's how they mate, which is pretty creepy. When other police officers arrive to help Tanya, a really cool part is that Stephen King makes a cameo in the movie, and he's not the only one to make this cameo. There is some other big horror names that make cameos also, which is Clive Barker, Toby Hooper, and John fucking Landis, which is really cool. So be sure, if you've never seen this movie, to look out for those four, because it's pretty awesome. Anyways, so Charles makes it back home, and his mother is very distraught, as you know, because her son is dying. You know, her son is dying. He's gonna die because he got wounded by a cat. So Tanya tells the police officers what happened, how she went on a date with Charles, how he was so like romantic, and how he changed, and where he, you know, how his behavior changed, and he was trying to kill her. And she also lets them know where they live. So the police, of course, go over to Charles and Mary's house, but they don't find them. And you know why they don't find them? Because they can turn invisible. But, you know, Charles is really bad off. You know, he's gonna die. So the mother tells him to be still and to be quiet, and she turns him invisible too. So the police are there. They can't find them. I guess they end up not leaving, but they go outside to see if they can like find out where they went or try to find them. But little do they know, when they're outside waiting, that the mother can be invisible, and she ends up getting revenge on those police officers and slowly kills them one by one. She makes her way all the way to Tanya's house, and you know, she's trying to like tell Tanya's mother like, oh, is she okay? She needs to go see my son Charles. My son Charles loves her, and she needs to go see him. And Tanya's mother's like, no fucking way, get out of here. Your son fucking hurt my daughter, tried to kill her. I hope your son dies. And that really pisses off Mary. She's like, oh really? And ends up like breaking the mother's arm. There was a police officer there.
There's a woman here. She said she's the Brady kid's mother.
She ends up freaking killing the police officer, I think with an ear of corn. And she does like this cheesy one-liner.
No vegetables. No dessert.
So she ends up being able to kidnap Tanya because she pretty much massacred everybody. So Mary takes Tanya back to her house, and Charles is barely hanging on. You know, I'm pretty sure he was like dead, but the mother kind of revives him, and they start dancing. Tanya and Charles start dancing together, and Charles is doing his one last attempt to steal Tanya's life force so he can probably, I don't know, it might help him not die or to feed the mother. I don't know why the mother can't just feed herself. She has to get fed from her son, which is kind of strange, but that's just how it was written. While they're dancing, Tanya is trying to save her life, and she ends up gouging out Charles's eyes, which ultimately kills him. He's done. Tanya starts running out the house to get away, and she is greeted by another police officer there to help save her. But sadly, that police officer doesn't make it because Mary is a sleepwalker and she's invisible, and she ends up killing that police officer too, trying to get to Tanya. But as she's outside, remember I said they attract a lot of cats. So remember the cat from the other officer, Clovis, that attacked Charles? Well, that cat decides to get revenge and attacks Mary And so all the other stray cats attack her too, which leads to her being killed. And yeah, that's kind of how it ends. That's pretty much the movie. It's really good movie, very unique. I love, like I said, I love the way that they do the shape shifting. I love the cat people, the costumes and such like that. So I really recommend you checking this movie out. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 skulls. But yeah, check it out and we will get started on movie number 2. Okay, so movie number 2 is another Stephen King movie. Yes, because Stephen King rules. So this movie is a 1985 movie. Any guesses as to what this could be? I don't know. I think the 80s there was a bunch of Stephen King movies being made, so it could be, you know, take your guess. Anyways, the movie I will be talking about is Silver Bullet. Have you guys seen it? Oh, if you haven't, you need to watch it after my review or before. This is one of my favorite werewolf movies ever. So the movie starts off between 2 siblings, Jane and Marty. They got a kind of a rocky relationship because Marty is handicapped. He can't walk, so he uses a wheelchair. And Jane has extra responsibility towards her brother to help him out and stuff. And I can understand why that could be frustrating for a young teen girl to, you know, have to pretty much babysit her little brother all the time or have more responsibility because he has handicap. So they have a little bit of a, you know, it's typical brother-sister relationship, but just a little bit more. It feels like she gets in trouble more if Marty does something, or, you know, she feels like she gets blamed a lot for stuff that Marty does and for not watching him or taking extra care of him. In the beginning of the movie, there's 2 deaths. Now, they live in a small little town called Tarker's Mills in Maine. And one of the railroad workers, Arnie, who is supposed to be like a drunk, ends up getting decapitated by the railroads. And then later on, there's a pregnant girl who was trying to kill herself. She ends up getting attacked by some kind of strange animal. We'll just leave it at that. Some strange animal goes in and attacks and kills her before she can kill herself. There's also a few more people that unfortunately meet their maker, and one of the characters that is killed is Marty's best friend, Brady. He's just like another, I think he's like 11, 12-year-old boy that ends up getting killed by not listening and going inside when it was a curfew out. Better listen, guys, or else you never know what kind of creatures live outside that might get you. So listen. After Marty's friend Brady dies, the townspeople have had enough. They believe that the police aren't doing enough and they need to go out and, you know, kill whatever is killing everybody of Tarker's Mills. The Reverend Lester Lowe, he, you know, he's against this vigilante. You know, he's warning them not to go after what is killing people, just to go home. But of course, you know, they're not going to listen. They want to find out who is killing these people. The vigilantes hunt for whatever killing the people into a wooded, foggy area. Can you guys guess what happens? Well, 3 of them are attacked and killed. The other ones get away, but of course, I mean, it's dark, it's foggy, you're in a forest. Yeah, so whatever was killing the people of Tarker's Mills was hiding below the fog and starts attacking and killing these vigilantes. Afterwards, Reverend Lowe, you know, he's sleeping. He's at home sleeping and he starts dreaming. And what does he dream about? Well, he's dreaming that he is like holding a mass for the people who recently died, like a mass funeral. But suddenly all those people that are in the caskets start transforming, and then all the people in the church, they start transforming. And can you guess what they start transforming into? Now, if you said werewolf, you would be correct. Yes, everybody all of a sudden starts transforming into werewolf. And then those werewolves start attacking Reverend Lowe when he wakes up and he says, "Let it end. What does he mean by that? So with all the murders going on and there's a curfew, they decide to cancel the 4th of July celebration, and Marty's very bummed about it. He was really looking forward to the fireworks, and so his family decides to just do a backyard barbecue celebration, which they invite Marty's mother's alcoholic brother, Red, who is played by Gary Busey. So that makes the movie 10 times more better. Uncle Red made Marty an electric wheelchair, which goes super, super fast, and Marty nicknamed it Silver Bullet. And he also gave him a huge bag of fireworks, so he can have his own little 4th of July firework party. When it gets dark and everybody goes to bed, he can sneak out and go light some fireworks. Even though that sounds like a bad idea because, you know, all these people are getting murdered. He's in a wheelchair. I mean, doesn't sound like a good thing to go do, but he ends up going to go do that. And as he's lighting fireworks, it catches the attention of the Beast. Yes, the Beast that is killing everybody finds Marty, and Marty that's it for Marty, he's gonna die. But no, he lights a firework and shoots it right into the Beast's eye, like blinding him. You know, there's a fucking firework in this Beast's eyeball, so Marty's able to get away. The next day, Marty talks to his sister Jane and lets her know what happened, and that there's like a werewolf after him now because he saw the werewolf, and so now Marty thinks the werewolf's going to be after him because he knows it's the werewolf. And Jane's like, okay, Marty, yeah, a werewolf. Yeah, sure thing, bro. Where's my mascara? Oh, right here. But, you know, she loves her brother, even though he's a pain in her butt. And she decides, well, you know, maybe she ends up going to go get cans from people to recycle. And, you know, as she's doing it, she's kind of looking at the guys to see, like, you know, if anybody has an injured eyeball. Well, lo and behold, who do you think she ends up running into that has a eye patch on? Any guesses? Well, if you guess Reverend Lowe, you are correct. Yes, Reverend Lowe has a fucking eye patch on. And what can that mean? What are the odds? That means that he, yes, is the werewolf. Yes, the werewolf that has been killing all these people is the fucking Reverend. So Jane kind of is like, whoa, the Reverend is wearing an eye patch. Marty, you know, said he heard the werewolf's eye, so maybe Marty's telling the truth. He's not lying. Oh my god, I messed up under my eye. So Jane goes back and tells Marty that she believes him, and Marty decides the best way to handle this is to send letters to Reverend Lowe saying to turn himself in, or why don't you just kill yourself, shit like that, which is kind of funny. But it kind of pisses off Reverend Lowe, and you know, Reverend Lowe, he needs to take care of this. And how does he do that? Well, of course, by getting rid of the problem of who knows who he really is, and that's Marty and his sister Jane. So one day Marty is leaving the gas station from filling up his wheelchair, and Reverend Lowe comes out and attacks Marty by trying to run him off the road. He ends up failing doing that, but he did kind of scratch up Marty's wheelchair. So when Marty and Jane try to tell their Uncle Red, because they feel like he's the only adult that might believe them, you know, the uncle sees that there's a scratch mark on Marty's wheelchair, and he asks Jane, what color is Reverend Lowe's car? And Jane says it's blue. This blue. So that's when Uncle Red is kind of like, maybe these kids are telling the truth, because how else would that get on Marty's wheelchair? You know, but it's hard for him to believe that, you know, Reverend Lowe is a werewolf. Like, that's the part that really, you know, Uncle Red cannot wrap his head around, that the Reverend is a werewolf. Of course, understandable. So Marty convinces his Uncle Red to do something for him. What is the one way to kill a werewolf?
Car crash? Accident with power tools? Old age? Falling out of a window? Onto a bomb?
Yes, a silver bullet. So Marty and Jane ask Uncle Red if he can go get them a silver bullet made from some silver jewelry they had. Even though it's against his best judgment, he ends up doing it just to kind of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for, to amuse the children. Like, okay, we get the silver bullet, he's coming to kill Marty, you know, I'll just do it so they can see that it's not true. But when it becomes nighttime and Uncle Red's like, okay, this isn't happening. Get to bed, you guys. I'm out of my mind for believing you guys and even making this silver bullet. But did he decide to give up too soon? You're going to have to wait and find out what happens at the end of this movie, because I'm not giving away the ending, which I'm sure you can kind of guess what happens, but still, if you've never seen it, I don't want to ruin it for you and take away that excitement of what could happen. Does Uncle Red die? Does he get Marty? Does Jane die? You're just going to have to watch and find out, okay? Let me throw on some lipstick real quick. Okay, I'm back. So, I really hope you enjoyed these two movies that I talked about today. If you did, give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also follow me at The Sarah Grimm on Instagram. And I'll be seeing you guys soon. Bye.